Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with our host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. Along besides me is me and myself and James Chrisbaum. Hey, James, how's it cracking for you tonight?
It's cracking okay, buddy. How's it cracking with you?
It is just like cracking like you wouldn't believe. Now, can I ask you a question? What in the hell does cracking mean?
Well, haven't you ever heard call on the Kraken or here comes the Kraken?
Yeah.
It's a big octopus.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody told me it means everything is going good and you're having a good day and it's just moving along great and it's awesome and far out. Like, wow, he's going to gag me like with a spoon, you know?
Oh, that's groovy, man. Let's go with that.
Oh, yeah, that's like awesome. Awesome. Anyway, do you have any type of cryptics or UFOs, monsters, ex-mother-in-law type of stories or anything you can kind of share with the listeners?
No, I'm just kidding. Of course,
I don't care. I got my sugar frosted flakes in front of me and my tea. I know all set.
I was getting you prepared for some of them guests. You know, that one word answers and they have nothing. But no, I do have something. Actually, this comes from my buddy Lon. Here's a report. This person is driving along. It's in Massachusetts in Belchertown. They're driving along, and they spot a pretty much, for lack of a better word, a pterodactyl. I mean, literally. And the sight of that pretty much, if you'd see something like that, that would kind of stop you in your tracks. And they're driving. They're driving along, and they can see it along the wood line. And they see it for maybe 30 seconds or so. Now, when they get home, the guy's mother seen the same pterodactyl 30 minutes before he did. And they exchanged, and it was the same thing. They seen the same thing, and he described it as being 15 to 20 feet from head to tail in length. And that's a pretty good size bird, or pterodactyl, whatever it may be. And another report came in, this one from San Antonio, Texas. It says, I saw this creature. It took like this creature, like a pterodactyl. And it had dark, leathery skin. It was on February of 2019 on Valentine's Day, this one. And it flew really close to me. I got paranoid, and I drove back to the area where I seen it, and there was a pond that had ducks, and the ducks were, like, hiding in the brushes. And when they seen me pull up with my lights, high beams on, they came running to the light. I know what I saw, and that was no regular bird or an owl, because I was looking. I've never seen anything like that before. And there's a couple other reports. Houston, there's one out of Houston, pretty much the same thing, described pretty much a pterodactyl, leathery skin, again, about 10 to 20 feet from head to tail, 15, 20 feet wingspan. There's another one coming out of here. Where's this one? This one doesn't say where it's coming from, but it's same description. And when he seen it, it took off, started flapping its wings. The movement of the wings moved like when they flap. My friend and family thought I was going crazy, but then I also wanted to wonder if maybe a portal opened up, because it just kind of like disappeared, and there's all kind of weird report. Another one out of Oklahoma, pretty much the same description.
Interesting.
Crazy.
So there's a lot of reports going on, I take it.
Yeah, and these are just throughout, from the 80s, the 90s. These have been going on throughout the years. And, I wonder if they call them thunderbirds or whatever they want to call them, but maybe they're these pterodactyls or maybe an undiscovered species, or, again, maybe it's misidentified from something else that because the magnetic field's off and these birds are off and they're going places they've never been before.
That is a very, very good possibility. What else you got tonight, James?
There's another one here. Let me see. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. A bright-eyed, pale humanoid was seen in a Michigan field. And this was recently, actually. And this one here is kind it's kind of scary because the people, when they seen it, they seen it about 10:30 at night. They seen these two red eyes, and they were looking at them, and they could see it out in the field. And the guy's an excellent shot. He's got his gun, so he's thinking, well, I don't want to shoot it, but what is it? He don't know what it is. And the wife sees it too. So let me get to the good part here. So then he fires off a round, and when he does, it never moved, and it kept eye contact with the people, which kind of freaked him out, obviously. So he fired off another round real close, and it jumped up. And when it jumped up and it landed, and it never lost eye contact with him, and it landed back down, looking straight at him the whole time, never lost eye contact with him. And that would be enough to rattle you, I would think. And there are two. There was two glowing orange red eyes looking right at us through the bush, and they never lost eye contact. So after it jumped up and landed back down, it made a big thump, and kind of like what you were talking when you're on your bikes, they felt it. It was like they could feel it when it landed. And this goes on to say they've seen all kind of animals out there, but when that happened, it kind of moved forward a little bit. So they kind of the lady grabbed her grandkid, and they went in the house and locked the doors after that. But that was a report, and that was out of Michigan. That wasn't that long ago, just within the last couple of weeks, I believe.
Interesting. I mean, the funny thing is, the sightings, like I was telling you the other day, I really think because of the magnetic field changing, I think with the earth changes that's going on, I think that things that we haven't been seeing much of, like Mothman or Thunderbird or any of these wild hairy man, whatever you want to call them, I think we're seeing more of this because of what's going on. Just like the pigeons. I was reading an article about pigeons. You get homing pigeons. You let them go out, and you think they're going to come back. The problem is they're lost and they don't come back. A lot of things it's affecting them. So I think we might start seeing more of these cryptic creatures, monsters, whatever you want to call them, because they're going to get lost.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then you add in with that the loss of territory because of real estate expanding even more and more every day, so they're losing more wilderness. You add that in, and then you add, I think with some of these climate changes too, it may maybe some of these creatures have to have warm, or some of them have to have cold, and maybe these changes are making them broaden their land, their area. So that could be, all these things could add into this.
Well, like even about bees. I was reading an article last night about bees. For a long time they were blaming it on insecticide, poison to get rid of certain insects. The different type of stuff they use, to produce, fruits and vegetables and farms. That they blamed all that on the kill off on the bees. And then I was reading this professor was saying, no, that's not the issue. It's because the magnetic field is shifting big time, and all this stuff is going on. And the bees, they fly out of their hive. They can't find their hive when they want to come back. So they just fly out there till they are exhausted and die off. And that's the problem. I mean, they keep trying to, keep the bees generating, by hatching them, but they all seem to die off. And that's the problem, and we don't want to face things that are going on. That's all.
Yeah. And, I people don't realize, but bees are a big essential part to our even living. They do so much by spreading pollen and germinating things, and people don't realize, if bees ceased to exist, we would be in a lot of trouble, really.
Well, they got artificial ways to, make, things, fertilize the vegetables and, all that stuff, to, germinate it. But the problem is it will affect us as a whole, because, let's face it, if there's no bees, the food population is still, even if they can artificially do it, it's going to affect our population. I don't even know right now, seriously, where I live, up down by the compound, 20 miles from me was all right virgin, all farmland, all the way up to the early 60s. And then all of a sudden, it was all sold out. Houses, developments came in, freeways came in, and there's no farms around here anymore. Where are we getting our food other than on the south of the border? I mean, it's getting less and less farmland in our country. And again, what always amazes me, do we actually have enough cows to produce the amount of milk you see at Walmart? I just used them as an example. It could have been Amazon. I mean, it could have been Safeway or any of these other stores. Think about it. I mean, how can the amount of cows they have produce the amount of volume of milk that we're drinking? I just can't see it. Because most of these small dairies are gone. It's just the big, huge dairies now.
Yeah, that's true. And, another thing about when you say south of the border, there's a huge recall right now on lettuce because of E. coli. I mean, seriously. And from Walmart and another place, they say don't buy it, or if you have it, throw it out. So, that goes to show you that not necessarily the food down there is necessarily safe either.
Well, not same with ours, though. Let's face it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's recalls. I mean, there was a famous salad, pre-mixed salad, with the lettuce and, carrots and all this stuff, and I loved it. And, it's a brand we've been buying for years. And my wife back here months ago went and bought some of it. It was on sale. We ate it. And then, we hate to say it, by the next day we were visiting the bathroom more often than watching TV. And then it was a recall. Like the day after that, of that same brand at the same chain of grocery stores where we bought it from. And, again, it can happen anywhere. I mean, all it takes is, what they fertilize when they plant these vegetables in the farms. You know what they use for fertilizer, don't you?
Well, I know what they use around here, but I've heard what they use down south, and I'm not even going to say.
Well, they got these sprinkler systems, right, that are like miles long. They look like it, right? And they slowly move on the field as they're fertilizing. And, they're getting the fertilizer from the same place you get your milk from.
Yeah. At most places, that's true. That's right. That's how they do it. Believe me, I've been on a farm many times, and it's either pigs or cows or chickens or all three of the above.
Yeah, mainly the cows and stuff. They mix it with water, and then they spray it out, to make the vegetables nice and big and healthy. But then again, when they're picked or however they're, go through the process of being cleaned, if they don't do it right or something malfunctions, then you're